And hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first ever premiere podcast of Velocity Culture. I'm PG along with Lord Baelish
Hello, Lord Baelish over here.
and Aegon Kingslayer.
How's it going? Aegon here.
And since we're done with the pleasantries, let's get today started. Let's go through our week real quick, see if anything interesting happened. Aegon, the daddy Kingslayer over here. First official Father's Day, to be honest.
Thank you. I appreciate it a lot. You guys should try it.
No, but
Absolutely
anyways,
not.
I saw you took your little boy and your family to the zoo the other day.
Yeah, you gotta spend some time with the family.
All right. You guys do anything else interesting this week?
No, you know how it is. Just working.
Fair enough.
Same here. Not much going on other than dealing with people.
So it was just all three of us having a shitty week at work, and then me spending 44 hours awake. All right. Perfect.
Excellent.
All right. And with that, we're going to get started into our E3 coverage. I'm going to go back a little bit, just backtrack a little bit, guys. The releases from a couple weeks ago, I wanted to go through those real quick, starting with DayZ, which had previously been an Arma 2 mod for the PC, but it came out through PS4 last month. Yay! Everybody clap! Yay!
Nah, there's no claps here, man. Not for that.
The graphics are really bad.
But I'm gonna go into this real quick. Me and Baelish played it out, and I'll let you take it from there. How did it play out?
Okay, so this is my experience with DayZ. You run the game, you turn it on, you try to connect to a server, you see a blank screen, you get kicked out to the main menu. And I repeat that like 10 times. That was my whole experience with DayZ. You guys are welcome.
Yeah.
Sounds like H1Z1 to me.
H1Z1 has better punch than that. I'm not gonna lie about that. But I played DayZ quite a few days more than he had. Not days. I have a few more hours in it than he has. I actually got onto a server. Their launch week, obviously, it's going to be a little buggy, but I found quite a few bugs. I glitched out. I had the same problem he did when I tried to get on servers for about the first 3 times, and then I couldn't invite any friends to servers. So that was
FYI, a quick note here. That was a pretty sick burn 5 minutes into the developers at DayZ. So good job, Aegon. Good job.
I try.
All right. Kingdom Come Deliverance, the Royal Edition came out, which is a medieval RPG, super realistic. You have to put like 500 hours into it to get anything done, but it's very interesting, very big for history lovers out there. And then you guys will know Mortal Kombat 11 much more than I do, so you guys take it away.
Okay, I will definitely take this away. Mortal Kombat 11 is actually it's not really their 11th installment, it's more like the 13th, but it's the one they're actually counting in terms of like their lineage of all the Mortal Kombats that have come out before it. You get a lot of the same you get with Mortal Kombat 10, fast gameplay, arcade type fighting. You get a lot of what you like, a lot of Sub-Zero and Scorpion, to say the least. So yeah, I'm really liking it. The graphics are massively better than 10, maybe like 20-30% better. And like I said, all the new characters are pretty awesome. So right now it's on sale on PSN. If you guys want to catch it, it's $40 right now. It's very, very good, given that price point.
All right, perfect. The last release that I have that was a major impact was Layers of Fear 2. Anybody who loves a horror series, especially in first person, I highly recommend the first one. It was beautiful. It was cinematic. Even the things that weren't, like they had good jump scares, but the ambience was just amazing. The delicacy of the art was great. And Layers of Fear 2, I actually did watch a little bit of gameplay. It really is an amazing successor, and I hope I get to play it soon. So that's my top picks so far, and we're gonna go into E3.
All right, that works.
Unless anybody has anything to say about horror survival games.
I got a little bit to add to that, not to the genre in general, but that's one of the games developed with the Unity engine, which basically means you can play it on anything: Linux, Windows, Mac OS X, PS4, Xbox One, and now the Nintendo Switch. So it's kind of crazy.
It's amazing how far we're getting to, so that like every engine's going to be cross-platform soon.
I gotta talk about something. So we're just gonna skip over the fact that Mortal Kombat added Terminator.
I think we're gonna brush over it because they do stuff like that all the time. To be fair,
Dude, they had a
that's
petition
pretty
to put
badass.
Shaggy in there. They had a petition to put Shaggy in there. We're gonna brush over a lot of things.
yeah, we don't have time to sit there and be like, "Oh my God, freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger's in Mortal Kombat." Like, we don't care.
All right. Now to E3, if I may. All right. So at E3, Microsoft announced Project Scarlet, and I think I've gone over this 1,000 times saying it, that they're trying to reduce load times, the 8K resolution, and the frame rates up to 120 FPS. And the release date is supposed to be in late 2020. And I will let our resident scientist analyze that for you.
Okay, so long story short, they've told us that it runs on something called an AMD Zen 2 processor, and it supports ray tracing. Aside from that, we don't really know anything else about it. We don't know exactly what chipset. We don't know exactly what like overall, internal CPU it actually has. And they claim to be able to do 8K in 120 frames. The 8K to me sounds completely obscene. That's not happening. And 120 frames, that's definitely possible because modern consoles could probably do that in certain situations. In games where they're not too taxing or there's not a lot of geometry, you could definitely get away with it. And then another thing that I want to point out is that they said they're going to have SSDs. They didn't specify which one. And then as for the 8K resolution, I presume that it's going to be for Blu-ray playback. It's not going to be for actual, gameplay. I don't know if you guys have any questions or thoughts about any of that.
The one that we should probably worry about, Aegon, do you have any questions?
I want to talk about the release date. I don't want to talk about that.
You want to talk about how it's releasing in late 2020?
Yeah, because that means like late 22, right? You know how this game's going.
Back over and over.
That is not what that means. Oh my God.
My son is gonna be like 5 years old by the time they release. Maybe he'll be able to play.
Maybe, bro.
All right. So what we got out of that is that the 8K resolution will probably only be for Blu-ray, and the 120 FPS will only be in certain situations, like only when your console can absolutely handle it.
One last thing I want to point out real quickly. That PS4, the PS5 rumors about them having something called an AMD Radeon Navi processor has also come out. Yeah. Long story short, we do believe that it's going to be a similar chipset on both consoles because both of them are being made by AMD. So just wanted to point that out.
And it's not looking so good for AMD with their stock tanking recently too.
I don't think they should be too worried about it. They have so much of the market share at this point. I don't think they're going to have any problems pushing out consoles.
Oh, I don't think they'll have problems with that. I'm just talking about their recent releases are kind of tanking so far.
Yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit more when I get to my AMD section. But yeah.
So next, Microsoft announced Halo Infinite. More Master Chief. Who's got bets on that?
I'll bet 1,000 more Master Chief.
I'm kind of Master Chief out. Like I played 3. I saw 4 and saw 5, and I was done. I was about done.
Yeah, the only thing I could really say about that is that that's the launch game for the new Xbox. Because Gears of War 5 isn't going to be ready yet. So I hope it's good, or it's gonna make for a heck of a cringy fail in terms of launch for Microsoft there if that game tanks it too.
Yeah, and they've had a rough patch with Halo, as we all know. But Gears of War 5. I have not really seen much on it. Have you seen much?
I saw some pretty that trailer they showed had pretty killer rendering. It's by far the best looking Gears they've ever made. They're slightly getting away from their cartoon look and more into the modern look. So I'm super cool with that. And they're bringing back all the modes that everybody loves. So horde mode and and multiplayer and all that good stuff.
That I can get into.
Mm-hmm.
10 times better than Halo.
Okay, shout out everybody that's a Halo fanboy. Go on your PS4, send Aegon a message. And
no offense.
Oh yeah, that's right. They can't go. Actually, I was taking shots at them. You can't get on your PS4 because you're a Microsoft fanboy.
Right. You're so dumb, bro.
But
I have an Xbox. Okay, it's been sitting in my closet for like a year, but I have one.
yo, I ain't ever gonna pull that Xbox out of storage. You kidding me? Let's see. Outer Worlds, which was another thing by Obsidian, will be coming out. It's the spiritual successor to New Vegas. We're gonna go over the real quick fact that Bethesda slightly acknowledged that they failed a little bit in '76.
So you're saying they massively failed with 76 is what you're saying.
No. They didn't massively fail. They just slightly forgot to add people and forgot to fix their bugs and forgot that there are actually servers instead of not having servers. Like, you actually know you're on a server, like they said that you wouldn't. But yeah. So
Just to be clear, he's overindulging here. That was a complete, utter, and clusterfuck, that launch with 76.
Okay. All right.
They never fixed
right.
it. Everybody took shots at it on Reddit, on Twitter. I don't even know where to start with this. It's a terrible launch, and then they want to launch more content for a game that doesn't even work to make matters worse. So I think my rant's done. Aegon, you want to add anything to my rant?
It was basically like LeBron going to the Lakers.
Oh damn! All of Ohio has tuned out.
True. My home state will not listen anymore. All right.
They're still fanboys, even though he's in LA. They're still fanboys.
They're fanboys. They did announce though that they will be implementing human NPCs with the Wastelanders expansion, and they will be adding a battle royale mode.
Great, more pieces of gameplay that won't work.
All right.
I'm excited.
All right.
Bethesda, I'm excited.
We're going through them. So Arcane Studios is going to be bringing out Deathloop, which is going to be the successor to their Dishonored series.
It was more like a prequel.
It's not a prequel. It's themed. What?
Not at all. Nothing like a prequel.
Yeah. But a lot of the gameplay features and aesthetics, they only showed the basic trailer, like the cinematic trailer, but it looked like they are going to have a lot of the same implementations that they did in Dishonored, except space themed, which I thought was pretty cool. Ghostwire Tokyo, Tango Games, the guys from The Evil Within, they're going at horror again, as we all know, because there's like a billion horror games coming out. We're going to be having a demonic presence in Tokyo, and they're going to be like apparently taking people. And I'm not so sure if I'm going to be scared or ecstatic about playing this game.
Okay, so just real clearly, because I'm one of those people who tries to play these games in my head way beforehand. So do you know how this plays out? Is this third person, first person? What's the deal?
They showed the
You do not.
trailer, and it was demons descending upon Tokyo and people disappearing, and there was a
That's it?
agonist or a antagonist, I don't know yet, that was like flinging weird powers around in the middle of the street, but that's all I know. It looked really good.
At least it's not another zombie game.
Oh, shots fired at the zombie games. DayZ, we're talking about you, baby.
Maybe they'll switch and become a battle royale game. Hint, hint. H1Z1.
Okay.
Oh, damn.
He's only hating on H1Z1 because it's the only sucky game that he knows.
I think he's solely here just to hate on stuff. Like, his level of hate is high right now.
Our next game that's coming out is one that me and Baelish are so hyped up for. Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Breakpoint, woo! What do we know about Breakpoint?
It's going to be taken up where the last one left off. You're getting sent to a little country in the Pacific called Aurora, and you're trying to find out what's going on with this technology company that implements a bunch of drones. It's got new survival implementations, and you're trying to get into the mindset of you're not the hunter in this one. You are the prey. And the guy who's hunting you is John Berthnell. The guy who played the fucking Punisher is hunting you through this entire little island.
That's freaking awesome. Like, Ubisoft, you did it again. You guys are great. I buy all your games. You guys are great. Good job.
I know. they to be honest, they have my credit card number. It's all right. I'm gonna get that pre-ordered. All right. Anyways,
Real quickly, I'm going to add a few things to that. They already confirmed that they're going to release it on 4 different platforms, including Google's new Stadia implementation, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But they're going to release that on Windows, Xbox One, and PS4, and that's going to launch on October 4th. So it's just right around the corner.
yeah, we're all excited for that. We're
Especially
gonna
me.
talk. Yes, the guy that probably won't play it for about another 9 months after we're almost done with it.
That's PSN's fault.
That's not PSN's fault. That's your
Yeah,
fault for not
when
making more money.
I only buy it when they lower the price. I have kids
That
to feed.
is, you got one kid. Don't give me that. All right, we're gonna talk about all those acquisitions by Microsoft real quick. They acquired Double Fine Productions, who did Psychonauts and Grim Fandango. They got Playground Games, who did Forza. Undead Labs, who did State of Decay. They got Ninja Theory, who did Hellblade, and they got Compulsion Games, who did We Happy Few. And I think Baelish and I talked about that earlier this week, and I'm pretty sure Aegon will probably get this already, that they're trying to compete with PlayStation's acquisition of all those sub companies that can just put out their own brand of games.
So my inclination is pretty simple, that they're trying to just compete with Sony with their first party games, because it's no secret to anybody that like Sony's games are trending in the positive way when it comes to their first party titles, and Microsoft's are in the opposite end, with rare exception, of course. They're going in a negative direction. So
Yeah.
they're probably going to get all these small companies to make them first party games, or games that launch with consoles and stuff like that.
Yeah, say you've got Gears of War, and then that's about it right now. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I saw the gameplay for this a little bit. To me, it literally looks like Star Wars Battlefront 2 graphics, which are good. I'm gonna say that, but it literally looks like The Force Unleashed with Battlefront 2 graphics, the reboot. Yeah.
And just honestly, like deep within your heart, how do you feel about this?
I am not happy, and he should not be happy. Aegon, you
Okay.
should be happy about this. Say you're not happy. Say you're
I'm
not
not happy at all. I'm normally
See
not
that?
happy, but
Okay, we just went on a depressing note, but all right. I'm happy to take that as a win.
I have a therapist.
Okay.
Okay. This is awkward. Look
This
away.
is
Look away.
very
Look away.
I don't think any.
Okay, I want to add a little bit more to this. So basically, it's gonna be available on Windows, Xbox One, and PS4 exclusively. So a lot of people are getting excluded here. Linux and Switch die, I guess. And then it's gonna be released on November 15th. So people want to pick it up. It's gonna be available this year. And it's also made by Respawn Entertainment, the developers of Titanfall and Apex Legends. So if you like that type of style, it's gonna be based on the Unreal Engine. So it's gonna be a lot of the same.
That's what I was gonna say. It's the only redeeming quality is it's made by an actually decent developer. But again, I haven't seen much out of the Star Wars games lately, and I wouldn't be surprised if I still didn't see it.
I got-
Star Wars.
I have one thing to add. Luke, I am your father.
Go say that to your
That's-
kid. You get out of this podcast. All right.
He's like staring at his baby. I am your father. He's just holding him up like Simba.
Here's the stuff for Aegon. FIFA 20 and Madden 20 will be coming out soon.
Yes, finally we got to the nitty gritty.
Yes, the 2 sports games. He's so hyped.
That no matter how good or bad they are, they're always gonna sell.
They will always sell because
Yeah.
there will always be trash like you out there, Aegon.
They have
Whoa.
cornered the market.
I'm not gonna lie. I'll probably play FIFA 20. I'll probably play it.
Me and Baelish played FIFA once. We played a whole game. We didn't score 1 point. We gave up on FIFA.
That was embarrassing. I don't want to talk about that.
That's because you guys don't know how to play football.
Oh my god. I want to also point out that one of the greatest players to ever play quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, is going to be on the cover. Just want to point that out real quickly. So
It's been one season. I
It's
thought
been-
you
it
were
was
talking
one-
about Tom Brady for a second.
it was a great season. Very good season.
I don't know what a back quarter is, but I'll roll with it.
He kind of sounds
Yeah,
like a dad.
you know who Tom Brady is, so that's what you gotta know.
That's all I gotta know. I gotta throw his name out there, and people will be like, "Man, you know so much about American football," and I'll be like, "Yeah, I do."
It's like me
You
with
know it.
basketball. Just take shots at LeBron.
I honestly have to address a small elephant in the room, or in this case, a big one. The game is actually not going to come out on Switch. Nintendo, you can suck it.
Again, we take shots at Microsoft and Nintendo now?
No,
just
but
cut our-
Microsoft is going to get it. They're going to
We
get
just
it.
cut our fan base to 2.
Yeah, cut our fan base to every PC player and PSN player, and that's it. All right.
It's not my fault. Your platform sucks. It's not my fault.
All right. Final Fantasy VII, the remake, was announced, and I was very hyped, and I know that Baelish was not, and I know this is probably the first time Aegon's even heard of it.
No, I've heard of it. I would remake something that was so bad too.
All right. Well, it's been a
Whoa.
great day, everyone. That's the end of the podcast. I hope you all have a good night.
We're cutting it short. That's it. He's gonna have a stroke now.
I have to go take a plane. I have to go see Aegon, and I have to go take a knife to his throat.
Okay. I'm gonna back up real quickly just to refocus. So they're remaking Final Fantasy VII. First of all, when the fuck is the actual Final Fantasy coming? Because we're 20 parts in and we're still in the fucking Final Fantasy 1.
Your jokes are terrible, Dad. Get on with it.
2, hasn't everybody that likes Final Fantasy overplayed 7? Why would they want a remake at this point? They've played it in every platform there is.
Well, what I'm saying is the remake is going to be more the hack and slash, like Devil May Cry. Well, you've played that. You would understand a little bit about more of that. And a lot of us really wanted to relive the story, but in actually good graphics and see what's going on.
Okay, I guess that works. I guess that answers my question. I can go choke on my words now.
Yes, go choke on them.
All right, one last thing before I let him go. Of course, this one's going to be made by Square Enix, like every other Final Fantasy ever, and this one's powered by the Unreal Engine. So you're going to see some definitely you're going to see a lot of good like particle effects and graphics from that, because the Unreal Engine is one of the best. Like, it produces some of the best graphic games we have in modern day. So just wanted to point that out.
All right, perfect. We got a little bit of Nintendo news from E3. I'm skipping over a lot of things, but there will be a sequel to Breath of the Wild. Baelish and I didn't like it. I don't know Aegon's opinion on any Nintendo game because he mostly plays sports games. But I know we didn't really enjoy it, did we?
What are they calling this one? More Breath of More Wild?
Okay. All right. Anyways, we didn't enjoy it that much. I know a lot of people did, and I hope they put out a game for you guys that's just as good as a successor. Moving on, they announced the Smash Bros. DLC. It's going to have Banjo-Kazooie and the Dragon Quest Hero. Neither of you know who those are, so I'm going to keep going. I'm the only one.
I just want to stop you right there real quickly. For Smash Bros, I know that they're doing a bunch of like interesting things with how they're using their art, and I don't know if you've noticed over the past few ones, the graphics have been getting a lot better for Smash Bros. So it turns out like they're trending in the right direction there. And to my understanding, they're for the first time going to be using all the capabilities that the Switch has, which they haven't had before for that type of game. So you should see a big improvement there graphic wise. I'm sure you'll be happy about that, Nintendo fans.
It really is a good thing because I know Smash is probably one of the highest selling games for Nintendo for a long time, and especially bringing in these old characters. That's going to bring even more people that are, played the game on and off for a while. They'll be back. So Animal Crossing New Horizon has actually been delayed till the 3rd of March next year.
So would you say the animals are stuck in traffic?
All right. Anyways.
That was a good one.
we have a lot more games coming to the Switch, actually, that we're going to mention real quick. Witcher 3 is actually coming. Resident Evil 5 and 6. Ni no Kuni, Alien Isolation, Minecraft Dungeons, all kinds of games are being switched over. What's up?
Rant time. So basically, what he just told me is that Nintendo is gonna put a bunch of games that came out 4 years ago on their platform, and we're supposed to be happy about it. I'm not mad about it either, but I just wanted to give this some grief because PS4 can't get away with that. We can't sell Resident Evil 5 again. Sony can't get away with that.
Fair. It resell. All right. Watch Dogs Legion is coming out.
What do we know about it?
We know it's set in a dystopian future in London. You can recruit anybody to be part of your so-called DedSec team. We don't know if DedSec's actually a thing anymore, but we know that you can recruit anybody. They'll all have their special skills, etc., and you're going to be beating the hell out of this totalitarian republic. It literally looks like it's something out of V from Vendetta, only a little more pop culture-ish.
Okay, I couldn't get some clarification from the articles I read, but do we know if it's going to come out on PC as well, like the other two Watch Dogs, or we don't know?
I do not know, but I would say it's highly likely because, they actually sold pretty well on the PC.
Okay, but I know it's coming on Google's platform, Xbox One, PS4, and that game is going to get released on March 6, 2020. So, for those of you who care.
There you go, kiddos. And then we got Borderlands 3, the new Gearbox flavor.
Gearbox flavor?
It looks like it's going to be released on September 13th of this year.
Ooh, that's bad. That's too close. Because if it flops, it's going to flop before all like the big games come out, Modern Warfare 4 and stuff. So we don't want it to flop. Borderlands 3, stay alive. We need you.
Stay alive. Stay out there, homie. All right. The remake, I don't want to say remake because it's not. The reboot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
And that is Modern Warfare 4, right?
No, it is Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
It's just Modern Warfare. Okay. Do you know if the story has anything to do with the first three Modern Warfares, or
it is supposed to take off where with the first one?
Okay. Did they show us anything in the trailers that will give us any indication how the gameplay works, or what did you see?
I literally saw a cinematic trailer. That is all.
Saw a cinematic trailer.
Is Jon Snow gonna be in it?
God, that was Infinite Warfare, Aegon.
Go sit your Game of Thrones ass down over there and stop talking to me, kid. Stop it.
Who doesn't love Game of Thrones? Come on.
Apparently, everybody on YouTube for the last season.
Yes. Stop talking about it. This is not a podcast like breaking apart the last season of Game of Thrones.
I just stated some facts. I didn't spoil anything, so calm down.
Gods and Monsters is actually from the makers of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's going to be a Breath of the Wild type game. It's going to have a little bit different art style, but it's actually set in ancient Greece, and you're going to be trying to save the gods, apparently, from Typhon.
Real quickly, what's up with that big-ass bird that keeps coming on all the trailers? Do we know anything about that bird? I'm very excited about that bird.
Why are you so excited about the bird?
It's like their version of dragons.
It looks weird. It looks like a half bird, half dragon. He's right. Do we know what it is?
I would highly bet it's like the Chimera. I don't totally know because I don't know what sense of lore they're going into, but it's probably the Chimera.
Hey, that works. Okay.
That works. Whatever happens. You heard it here.
You know what's funny? That there's a lot of things I could have asked about the game, but I was more concerned about the big bird.
Yeah, like there were 1,000 things you could have asked, but
there's so many things. Yes. But to
But
be entirely honest, there's not much I could ask. I only saw a cinematic trailer. I didn't see anything else.
yeah,
So unless you did.
literally no. It's basically I watched I watched the cinematic trailer also, and I looked at a few of the pictures of the end game. It literally does. It looks a little bit better than Breath of the Wild. It looks like the same kind of art design style playthrough, but I would love for it to be set in a world like that and have some more stuff to do. That would be really cool. Yeah.
Mount Olympus making a comeback.
No.
Open world.
Who wants to talk about Star Wars, the Lego saga?
Oh my god.
Again? Luke, I am your father.
They're literally just putting out all three trilogies into one. It's going to be called Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker saga. That's it. All of these games have come out. They're just putting them into one. It's basically
They're not
the
going to like
edition.
remaster it or improve the graphics in any way?
Well, obviously, they're going to redo the graphics for probably, what is it, the prequel trilogy? But I wouldn't see any reason why they would have to go in and do anything else.
Well, my concern would be that some of those games are very old and those graphics are going to look abysmal in 2019. So
Yeah, that's what I'm
there's
saying.
that.
They're gonna go in and redo the prequel and add them to the saga because I remember that came out in like what 2003, 2005, something like that.
What did I tell you, Baelish, about these games and who they're aiming for? You think
I
kids
know
are
they're
going to
aiming
notice
for
about the
kids.
graphics?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like, it's not the kid. I can't play it through a kid's eyes. I can only play it through mine, and it looks bad.
At the
so
end of the day, I'm a fucking adult. I want to play a Lego game and I want it to look good. Okay.
I want it to
I
look
wanna
about
play-
as good as Legos can look.
Yeah. I want to see high definition blocks.
Perfect blocks.
Go play Minecraft.
Oh God. That's
do.
it. I quit. I gotta get hit by a truck now. Like something has to happen.
Do it. Yo, I'll ride my pig over from Minecraft and I'll hit you. That's fine.
He just said Minecraft is a perfect block. I'm gonna have a stroke.
Rainbow Six, their new implementation of the next season called Quarantine, that's going to be out in 2020.
Once again, Ubisoft, you guys are awesome. Good freaking job. I can't emphasize this enough. I really can. Can you tell me a little bit more about the DLC? What do we know?
All I know that it's going to be 3-player again, instead of kind of singular. It's going to be 3-player, and
Okay, so based on what I'm reading, it's going to be the exact same thing as you're used to with Rainbow Six, except it's just going to add more operators and call it like a new operation. That's what I'm reading, basically.
they're supposed to have a new mode that does the 3-player though.
The 3-player zombie mode is what I mean. The 3-player alien mutant mode or whatever.
Alien. Oh yeah, because it's going to be like when they had the people growing that chrysalis on them before.
So yeah. Well, that kind of wraps that up. Can't wait to kill some alien mutants.
All right. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Have either of you played Vampire the Masquerade?
Never, no.
I almost played it. And I decided to get Madden.
You see, this is why I can't talk to you sometimes.
Okay, tell us anything that would make me interested about Vampire the Masquerades. I don't know what that means.
All right. So I'll tell you about Vampire the Masquerades too, because they just dropped multiple trailers, and I was so interested. So you're a newly turned vampire in Seattle. There's about 4 or 5 factions, more or less, that are controlling the city. It's a kind of like, do you remember Vampire?
Like, what do you mean, Vampire?
The game Vampire, the one with a Y that came out earlier. What was it? Was it last year or was it this year?
Yeah, I vaguely remember it, but I never actually played it. I heard about it in an article.
You have to make choices like that, and oh my goodness, the first person looks great going through the city, and even the action sequences. It'll like if you're doing finisher moves, it'll switch to third person, and it's gory. I loved it, and a lot of these quests, all the quests that you do, you'll have multiple ways to complete them. It's going to be really, really interesting because it's going to show the mindset of you getting into your character. Multiple people will try to influence you. You can choose which faction to side with. It's going to be a living, breathing Seattle. It's going to be very interesting.
Okay. Real quickly, I want to point out a few things about it. Steam is already taking pre-orders for the game. So for you fanboys who really want it now, gotta have it. It's ready to go. Just pre-order it.
I'm gonna pre-order it on ours. You know it.
Oh, okay. Go for it. And then I also want to give a shout out to at VTM_Bloodlines on Twitter because they were the most active Twitter account on E3. So shout out to them. Exactly.
They put out a lot for this game, and I was so interested because last time that they did it, like the last time the Masquerade was out, it was a very good game. I enjoyed it.
I'm gonna make a prediction.
Go for it.
Next year, we're gonna be at E3. Write it down.
I'm gonna make a prediction for you. Next year, we're probably gonna still be in our room, just with slightly better equipment, better audio, and we're gonna be sitting here being like, "Oh, hey, guess what happened at E3 again this year, guys?"
That's way more likely than his dystopia where we're great like content creators or whatever.
Exactly.
You gotta aim high.
Most of the rest of my notes are basically on our schedule for the rest of the week. The only major thing that I wanted to point out was we did not get any major Fable 4 news, which I was very sad about because I am a big Fable fan.
I could tell you that people are still crying about Fable. about the
I-
previous Fable and the last Fable before that one. And the only one they really seem to like online is the original Fable. The other ones just get slapped around on Reddit.
The remastered Fable was very good. 2 was actually very good also. But when they dropped 3 and then they dropped Fable Heroes, it was over. They killed it. They destroyed my heart. But like it okay, never mind. Go for it. You know what? I can't even talk. I'm so hurt.
So basically, this Fable is kind of like Half-Life 3. You kind of want it to exist, but it doesn't really exist, and then you insist that it exists, but it doesn't. So I don't think it's ever coming, to be entirely honest. I think it's dead in the water.
I don't know, because they announced that they would have a Fable 4.
Just like Half-Life 3.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Rest in peace, Half-Life 3.
All right, time to go back and play Half-Life 2 again.
Oh man, cry some more, because we're not getting Half-Life 3.
All right. I think I am done with my session, so I think this would be a perfect time to take our 2-minute intermission real quick, and we will be back in just a moment. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Quick word from our sponsor. People ask me all the time, PG, how do you stay so hydrated? I say, well, I drink the water from my tap, you idiot. And that's how we're selling my water brand this week. For only $5 a pop, you can be hydrated like PG. Like
that was so cringe, my man.
Thank you. Stay hydrated, my friend.
See, this is the thing. That's why I don't like talking to him about what he has on this section, because he's gonna do something ridiculous like this, and I'm gonna laugh. Okay, so I'm gonna immediately just jump into my section since good old PG is done with his cringe, ad pool there.
Time away from Aegon, he's gonna have to leave in about 20 minutes later. So let's get it on for the people.
Okay, so basically my section is mostly going to be Computex, some tech stuff, and like some random like science stuff that I thought was interesting from online. Unlike PG section, mine's is like more slower. It's more like getting into detail stuff. His is more like I have a lot of games. I kind of have to tell you what it is and kind of move on. So basically, I'll start at Computex. They showed up a bunch of stuff that I thought was very interesting, but I'm only going to focus on the 2 things I like the most, which I'm going to call, oddly enough, the MVP and the co-MVP of the section. So the MVP of Computex is basically the new Asus laptop. The Asus ZenBook Pro is a dual-screen 4K mini LED Republics of Gamer laptop. Its refresh rate and the monitor is 244 hertz, which is the fastest I've ever seen on the laptop. And basically, it's got not one but 2 4K screens. It's got a mechanical keyboard, and it essentially has all the internal specs that you'd want, a dedicated graphic card, i7 processor, as high as the Extreme processor, so the ones that end in H with them. So all the gamers out there are going to be really excited about this one. We don't know the pricing yet, and we don't know the availability, but it's going to cost like $250 billion. It looks expensive. So I'll start there. You guys got any questions for me? Anything you want to know?
So talk about both screens real quick. How is that going to be affecting you?
All right, so on your standard keyboard where the F keys are? Yeah. They basically got rid of those, and they like the old Apple thing where they made that screen about twice as big as the size as the F key. Both of them are going to have pen support, and you're going to be able to do stuff like an Adobe After Effects and Photoshop that is built in for that screen. So they've already gotten with Adobe to basically give that screen additional functionality. And from the images, it looks drop dead gorgeous. It looks ridiculous, dude. And then the number pad is actually a touch screen. It's not actually number keys. So that looks like straight from the future. That's a really crazy composition of stuff.
So what kind of recommendation would you use for this? Like what would you use the laptop for?
The person who's going to buy this is either one, trying to show off that he's got the fastest thing ever, or two, it's for your esports gamers, because they're the ones who need the most frames. So your CSG Go gamers,
So
your
gamers,
Apex gamers, your Fortnite gamers. Those gamers are going to need more than 120 frames. So they're going to be the ones who need monitors that operate at that speed. The only drawback of it is that I only saw one configuration within an RTX 2060, which is basically not fast enough to deliver 244 hertz in most games. So I hope you can get one with a 1080 configuration, because that will do a lot better. But as of right now, Asus didn't really address that problem with this release.
And what about for anybody that does say Photoshop or anything in the art department?
Well, the screen itself is not rated for 10-bit color, so it's probably not going to be for them. They would get something a bit more high-end in terms of color accuracy, and the refresh rate is completely unimportant to somebody who's doing video work and audio work. So they don't need anything past 60 frames, so they would be like complete overkill for what they're trying to do. And they would probably want a video card as either a Pro Workstation card or just something better than a 260. So.
Okay, so we're looking at a base consumer of, say, somebody that's just got too much money on his hands and is going to take it to work or school, and then the pro gamer community.
Yeah, those are basically the two people that would buy it. I don't see anybody else really showing any interest for it. One, it's going to be $3,000 at the minimum, at the cheapest. And I can't see anybody paying that much money unless they have a very specific purpose for it.
For those out there who felt like Baelish just spoke French, I'm with you.
Okay, that's why I took a moment. I said, "Do you have questions for me? If you want to know what something means, I can slow it down a little bit more. Like, there's no problem here."
We don't have the
processor. We can. I mean, we have time for you to ask the questions. I mean,
that's why you're here, because you don't know.
Yeah. That's why you're here. You make us look smart.
You make me look like a genius.
I think that's why my wife married me. I make her look smart.
Yes.
Oh.
I think.
Are you a trophy husband?
He's definitely not a trophy husband. That's a third place trophy. That.
Oh damn! So many shots at the husband.
I make her laugh.
That's a fake laugh. Let's get on with it.
When they love you enough to fake laugh, you got there.
Okay, so let me go ahead and move it on a bit here, since we're done making fun of Aegon over here, and now his wife could have gotten someone better. So the second article,
I like how you recapped it.
I recapped it very well. You're welcome. And basically, the other article I have is from PC World, and this one is from. Remember that we were talking about AMD and how it's going to be in pretty much all the new generation consoles. Yeah. This is kind of that same deal, but AMD basically unleashed their new 7-nanometer processors, so the 12-core Ryzen 9 CPU and the Radeon RX 5000 graphics in one shot. So basically, they're competing in two different markets, on the processor side with Intel, and on the graphics side with NVIDIA. And the ones that I was particularly like jaw-dropping for me was the 12-core processor from their Ryzen series. So basically, that processor has PCIe 4 support, which no other processor has up until this point. It undercut Intel by about half the cost. So that one's going to retail for $499 when Intel's competitor is about $1,150. It packs in a crazy 70 megabytes of cache, which I've never seen on a processor, and it really had all the fanboys out there for AMD kind of like, getting their swag back, because they've been taking a beating from Intel for the last 15 years in terms of performance, and it looks like they've gotten it all back in one shot, AMD. So shout out to them. Terrific processor. That is going to be crazy when that gets released. Yeah,
not to mention their graphics cards being more affordable. The new ones that are coming out, very, very good for what would you say, like the casual gamer, more like.
So just to put in perspective, what they unveiled there was their RX 5700 series. That's basically to compete with it's basically to compete with NVIDIA's 2070, which is their third fastest card. At the high end level, AMD can't really compete with NVIDIA. Like their TI series is always going to be like kind of like the performance king. But at least those particular graphic cards are going to compete very well in the mid range. So in the 250 to 450 range, you're going to see a lot of heavy competition between AMD and NVIDIA this year.
Yeah, I thought they were a quite bit more affordable. Let me see.
I could talk a little bit more about the processors here real quickly. So A few other things that they kind of mentioned was that IPC wise or instructions per clock, they had kind of like narrowed the gap with NVIDIA. So a lot of the performance benchmarks are going to be a lot closer this time, which they kind of lost in last year's Computex with Intel pretty bad. And then they also brought out the TDP, which is basically the amount of heat output on the processors, significantly. So it's now down to 105 watts, which is way less than Intel.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see if that they mean that that's the peak heat output or they mean that's consistent output. But either way, it's very impressive.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, that's for the people who are looking to buy a new processor. They're really going to care about that TDP.
That is hardcore though. I don't think I have any more notes for that section.
Yeah, it's complicated. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like everybody's going to understand that, but the PC gamers are going to appreciate it. I'll tell you that much.
They'll understand it. You guys know who you are. You know.
Yeah.
We're sticking one out for you. You know.
If you're sitting there like, oh my god, I love that processor, it's you. I'm doing this for you.
We love you
All
all
right.
equally, but apparently you can see from the two of them, one of them is a PC and one of them is a PSN heavy. But I love all of you. I do.
All right,
That
so I'm
sounds like
gonna
a love
move to
story.
I'm gonna basically move on to my my casual tech section, which is not anything like what you just heard right there. That was just like my PC gaming side, so that's a bit more complicated. But this is like more casual. So I pulled this article out from Tom's Hardware, and this is DeepMind AI learns to play Quake 3. So this particular article I liked because apparently the Cycles here who were programming decided that they were going to create an artificial intelligence that was better at playing Quake 3 than the human players, and in particular the capture the flag mode, which is very spatially complicated for an AI. And not only did they beat the they beat the players that played against them, the AIs, but it wasn't even close. They beat them by a landslide. Like they were annihilating these players. So it just goes to show you that this AI technology is going to start showing up in games, and when it does, we're gonna I can't wait to see it because everybody can agree that AI kind of sucks right now in like first-person shooters and any game that is like truly competitive.
Yikes. So not only can they beat humans at chess now, but they can beat us at video games consistently.
And for those who want to like catch a little bit about what was going on there, they have a video on it. So for those who want to see the video, it's called "Learn How to Play Quake 3," like DeepMind's AI. Just Google that, and the video they show you how they did it. What did they need the AI to do to figure out how to beat players? And it was kind of absurd. That was kind of crazy.
We're basically looking at a new Skynet. We're all gonna die. Terminator's gonna happen, and I'm gonna have to go back in time to save Sarah Connor.
And somehow end up in Mortal Kombat.
Why?
He's still stuck on that. He's still stuck on that.
Why Mortal Kombat? You're going to the Nether Realm and you're gonna fight Scorpion.
He's still stuck on the cut for the 11 announcement of the Terminator. All right.
Okay.
Continue.
I'm gonna do some casual phone news now. Some of our favorite stuff here. Basically, Sprint is kind of showing off their 5G this time around, and basically we've already read about Verizon's like 5G network. I've kind of been hearing about it a lot, but I hadn't heard anything from Sprint's side. And it turns
Sprint,
out,
Daddy, tell me.
I will tell you. So it turns out that their 5G is not only ready to go, but is actually producing very fast speeds. So one of the people I follow, Lin Law from CNET, was actually invited to Austin to try it out, and it turns out that their 5G implementation is extremely fast. Like it's north of 700 megabits per second. So for those who don't know, your average speeds on your phone are somewhere between 30 and 50 when you have you have 4 bars on your phone. This is in the 700s. So it's basically a little bit shy of Verizon's mark in terms of what they were showing, but they basically the test they did was that they had a LG V50, a 5G phone, versus an LG G8, which are from the same generation, and then the V50 just crushed the G8 and anything that had to do with internet. It downloaded PUBG Mobile, 1.865 gigabyte file. It downloaded that in just 3 minutes and 31 seconds on mobile, which is like crazy.
That is incredible.
For the 4G phone, it took it 22 minutes and 36 seconds, to put in perspective. So yeah, just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that 4G is kind of progressing for Sprint, which is a bit surprising because we didn't think they were. I've heard a bunch of rumors of them getting bought out by T-Mobile and how SoftBank is going broke. And then I read this article and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I was wrong about how that was going down. I'm completely wrong. They are pushing 5G anyways. So very interesting. They only have it in 3 markets right now. They're trying to move it to 50 markets, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen for the rest of this year. So you're probably looking at mid-2020 for anything that is in Dallas, New York, or South California.
I love how he added South California.
Yeah. That's what the article said.
And how do you think that's going to help Sprint? Do you think it's going to be implemented and help help them out a lot next year?
I really think it may take some of that bad stigma that they've produced over the past few years, because for the most part, like, Sprint is kind of like the whooping boy of the carriers. They definitely take the most slack in terms of, what people say online and what people think of them as a company. They definitely take the most slack because of it, and the users kind of reflect that, because out of the 4 major carriers, they are the smallest. Yeah. So hopefully this can kind of help them push forward, and it'll get bought by become like a huge like monopoly. So
Sprint, more like Crawl.
That was such a bad joke.
I liked it. All right.
Hang on, you got anything for me?
That was just a great joke.
That's what you got. That's a great joke.
I am now a dad.
And you somehow like unqualified egg on this, it just wings it sometimes. It's awesome. I love it. So what I'm gonna move on to next is some Verizon news. Big Red is what I'm doing here now. They recently released RCS profiles for the Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus. I am gonna explain what that is, obviously. Basically, RCS is a form of messaging. It's like a protocol that allows you to send really big files. So I know for anybody who uses Android, our messaging system is kind of like a clusterfuck. Like, we still have SMS from 1994.
It's very terrible, yes.
Yeah, we're still using that same standard, and when we send pictures, they get compressed unless you're using some other some other messaging service. So Verizon is kind of trying to change that, along with T-Mobile and Sprint, who have agreed to do the RCS messaging system, which basically increases your character count to about 12,000 and increases the files you can send to 1.5 gigabytes as opposed to 10 megabytes. So it's a really big difference. This is actually the first time I've ever seen any carrier actually try to implement it on any of their phones. The S9, S9 Plus already have it, but some experts have already pointed out some issues with this. Basically, if you're on different carriers, it's probably not going to work, because they would need the same profile for the model on the corresponding carrier. So if you have a Galaxy S9 and T-Mobile, you're going to need a whole separate profile for it, just to put it in perspective. And hopefully they get this rolling out, because let's be honest, we all want SMS and MMS to die. They've been around way too long.
Yeah, it is very true. I do not want it to take 2 hours for me to send just a small JPEG on my phone.
All right, perfect. For anybody who missed it, Apple had a conference as well, and they unveiled a few different things. They showed off iOS 13. They showed off a few different things with some of their new products, but the ones I want to focus on are 2 specific articles from Tech Radar. They released an article about iPadOS and another one about iTunes. I want to start a little bit talking about the iPadOS on the new tablets. So for those who missed it, basically they unveiled the OS. Once you do the software update to iOS 13, they are going to basically turn your iPad or your iPad Pro or any device that supports it from that generation to like an OS that looks exactly like Mac OS X. So it's gonna have the tile layout, it's gonna have the multitasking, it's gonna have basically everything that you see on Mac OS X, even the split view. So this is a big step for not just Apple but for tablets, because for the longest time, tablets are basically like a stretched out phone. And now it looks like they're going in a completely different direction with it. The title of this article is iPadOS puts Apple tablets on the road towards killing computers. So basically, That's what it looks like. It seems like they want to basically break off their partnership with Qualcomm, who's for the longest time been charging them really high core licenses, and basically going to use their own processors and basically make like their iPad their next computer. So that's very interesting. From everything they announced, that's what interests me the most from Apple side.
And how much would you say they would make cutting out the middleman?
So basically, Qualcomm, just of Apple, they make north of $2 billion a year. To put in
So
perspective, they basically have to pay. Yeah.
And how do you think that would be reinvested? Do you think they would add it to their research into new ways of creating a portable iPad computer, or do you think it would be pocketed by everybody at the company?
Come on, it's Apple.
My best guess is that it would be into future endeavors. It wouldn't be on anything they're doing now because they already have so much funding for iPhone research and and Mac research and anything that are basically on their high-end side. They're pretty good there. But there's a bunch of other products that haven't gotten any traction yet, like, for example, the HomePod, and they're still working on a lot of the services and contracts with Apple TV. They're working on smart cars, and none of them have worked, and they have catastrophically failed. Funny articles. Go out there and search those. Like, they have a bunch of markets where they're not doing well in, but the ones that they are doing well in, they're like billions of dollars doing well in. So that would be my guess.
So that extra $2 billion they could just fund into their, I don't want to say cringy departments, but you know what I'm saying.
Stuff that you think Apple shouldn't be making. Yes.
Yeah. That's very interesting. I'm really interested to see where that goes too.
Yeah, I'll definitely have a follow-up rant about this because I'm sure we're going to be seeing more and more updates to iPadOS as time goes on because I'm sure this one's going to be buggy as hell like every other Apple release initially. But once they release another article about it, I will get back to you guys with more info about that. Right now, I can only tell you what they showed us on the keynote, and on the keynote, everything worked perfectly. Shocker.
I mean, obviously. No smoke and mirrors there. No smoke and mirrors.
All right, anybody's got a trumpet or like a violin or something? Because this is going to be sad. iTunes is dead.
I will. What the fuck? I didn't even get to play it on the world's smallest violin. You're killing me, bro.
Oh, yeah, bro. I was too busy pushing it forward.
All right. Go on.
So basically, the article is called iTunes Time is Up. So basically, Apple decided to pull the plug entirely. And after 18 years of, dominance in terms of their digital music distribution, they decided, hey, Apple Music is the way to go going forward. Everybody wants a subscription. They don't want to pay for albums. Goodbye, iTunes. Better luck next time.
Yeah. I mean,
And,
I don't know anybody that uses iTunes anymore, to be honest.
Not only that, I read a separate article where it said that Apple had reached 50 million subscribers on the Apple Music side. So essentially, they replaced all their iTunes consumers with Apple Music consumers, which probably makes them more money anyways.
Yeah.
Last but not least, what is kind of problematic is that for the longest time, iTunes has been used as a phone to back up your phone. And Apple didn't address whether you can keep using that functionality on their software or if it's just going to kill the iTunes app entirely. Because if they do, then iPhone users are going to be at the mercy of the cloud, for better or for worse.
All right. That's
pretty straightforward. Story.
This is another heartbreaking event. Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah. We're all gonna sit outside and we're gonna cry and sing "Kumbaya." iTunes is gone.
iTunes is gone.
All right, so I'm gonna go for some phone releases because we had a couple interesting ones. So for Android Authority recently posted a review for the Asus ZenFone 6, which is the sixth phone from Asus. For the most part, in the United States, nobody really knows who Asus is. They're kind of like in the background. They've tried to go the carrier route, but they haven't gotten much traction. So at this point, they're pretty much like an unlocked phone option for anybody who doesn't want to buy, an iPhone, a Samsung, or an LG phone. And essentially, this one got released at $500 with like all the high-end specs. So it has a motorized camera, which basically means that they have a 24 megapixel shooter on the back that raises up and goes above your screen. So that way you only need one camera sensor for both your selfies and any pictures you're going to take with the rear back shooter. So it literally lifts off. It looks like straight from the future.
Wow. Straight
Yeah,
from
it's
the
pretty
future.
awesome. Straight
Coming
from
to
the
you in
future,
your
like,
home tonight. Let's go.
it's gonna show up in the new Star Wars that we talked about, a couple minutes ago. It basically has great build quality, glass on both sides. It has a headphone jack. Apple, what I'm looking at you right now. Basically, it has dual SIM support, and is basically going to be available for all the GSM carriers. So Team Red and Team Yellow, you guys are out of the question. You guys won't be able to use the Zen 4. But everybody else, you guys are good. So T-Mobile, AT&T, have at it. So yeah, that's kind of what I want to get at. It has the latest processor SKU from Qualcomm, the flip camera that we talked about, expandable storage, and it's basically going to be competing with the 3A and the OnePlus 7 Pro at that price point, which are two very good phones. So that'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
All right. I do find that interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that myself too. I want to see him fight. All right.
You want to see a fight off for it? Look at the charts.
Yeah.
See which bar graph is bigger.
I love big bars.
All right, and this next phone release is from this one was posted by Android Police. And it's basically the successor to the Moto Z3. The Moto Z4 is that out. Oddly enough, they were able to basically keep the same form factor as the Z3. So it has a much bigger screen and like a smaller bezel area, but all the Moto mods still work. The most interesting design choice that they made for the Moto Z4 is that they brought back the headphone jack. They took it out for the Moto Z, the original, and then decided, okay, we fucked up with that. Let's change it, and then they immediately put it back. And then,
obviously they did. I'm literally talking on this podcast through a adapter. So yeah.
So you have felt the wrath of the dongles.
I have felt the wrath.
That sounds wrong.
Give me the dongle wrath. Give it to me. Don't go into making.
We're gonna make so many memes now. You know, the 1.5 viewer, 1 and 1 midget. So basically, this one has Snapdragon 675, which is kind of like a mid-tier SKU for Qualcomm. So it's not going to be as fast as the Zen phone I just talked about. But it's basically going to fall in the same price point as it. But this is a Verizon exclusive right now. So if you're on Team Red, you don't really have a choice for something around this price point, you know, 400 to 500. And I believe the main reason this phone was released at this particular point in time is because Verizon is banking that 5G is going to be available towards the beginning of next year, and this phone supports it with the Moto mod. This one and the S10 5G are the only phones on Verizon that support 5G as of right now. So I believe that's why this phone is getting released, and it'd be interesting to see if it gets any traction. It doesn't have anything particularly special, other than, like I said, the Moto mod still work, and then you have headphone jack addition to it. But that's pretty much it. That's what I got for the Moto Z4.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I just broke my Z3 the other day at work. I got hit pretty bad. Anyways, but yeah, I'll have to look into the Z4. I mean, as long as it's got all the mods that I can put back on and it's got 5G, I might as well upgrade to it. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you up for an upgrade? I just want to know if PG is up for an upgrade.
I'll pay for that upgrade. I'll throw money at him. Just give me that Z4, man.
He sounds like a crackhead now. Give me the C4, man. I need it. It's mine.
Just give it to me. I'll find a way to crush it up and inject it. Don't worry about that part. I'll find a way.
I'll do something unpleasant that I can't say on this podcast for it.
Stop. We went
Can you describe it?
No, I cannot. It's not made for this podcast.
So it's made for
man. Oh, shout out to Pornhub.
That was a shout out to Pornhub. That was a shout out to our videos on YouTube. But I mean,
okay.
Same difference. I mean,
I have never heard of that. What are you guys talking about?
Oh, well, you got to play that card. Whatever, dude. Whatever.
It's our YouTube channel. I'll put it out at the end of the game. I'll put it out. Oh my God.
So okay, this is kind of like my nerdy section. This is my my space/science section. So you're gonna have to bear with me a little here.
Hold on.
This is
Baelish science section.
Which is odd because Baelish is a master of coins, so it's odd that he's so interested in science. But
stop bringing Game of Thrones in this.
Yeah.
Just get on with
Baelish
your
is
segment.
master of coin. That is not a spoiler for anybody who was wondering. No spoilers here in this podcast. We're legit.
Real quick, guys. So on a weekly basis, we're gonna have this segment in which I buy a very cheap game on PSN and play it and give you my perspective on it. For this week, it's gonna be Detroit Becoming Human. I'm gonna play that one, and I will let you guys know what I think about it. On that note, I'm gonna butt out. So I will talk to you guys later.
So we're saying goodbye to Aegon Kingslayer. Thank you for being on the podcast this week. We hope to see you again many more times.
For all those people who want to bring all the hate, come on. I'm on Twitter. It's A_Kingslayer.
Oh, God. He made a Twitter for it. Oh, this is going to be great, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Later, Lord of the Seven Realms. All right. So I was basically going to get to my casual science stuff that I get super excited about. So,
you mean your gay science?
Ooh, gay science. I don't think science can be gay. It's too objective for gayness.
It can be gay.
Oh, you think so?
Homosexuality study is a thing.
That biological particle is so gay. It wants to touch that other male biological particle.
Happy Pride
all
Month,
right.
everybody. Go on.
Happy Pride Month to gay plants. Oh my God! So let me get to it. Basically, this article is titled "Earth's Exodus: Plan to Alter Earth's Orbit to Escape Being Eaten by the Sun."
And
wow, that's a complicated topic.
Well, number one, what the fuck?
Yes, I read it and I was like, I have to read this now. That's a freaking build-up to an article. That was a great clickbait, title. If you ever wanted me in here, you did what you needed to do. You freaking nailed it. Best in class with clickbait articles. So long story short, when the sun subsequently becomes a red giant and is, in the stages of development, it should inherently eat us and the other four planets between like us and Mercury, which is all the way at the front in the orbiting pattern. So long story short, there was an engineer who proposed a way to not get eaten by the sun in the event that this happens. Luckily for us, it's like 5 billion years away, so we don't really have to worry about it too much. But in terms of like theoretical stuff, it's really interesting. So the idea is that if you can somehow increase the mass of the Earth, it'll push away in terms of distance from the sun, because the pull of the sun will be less. So the idea would be to somehow increase the mass of the Earth and push us away in the orbit to maybe the distance where Jupiter is, or Uranus, and that way we won't feel the temperature difference and essentially keep orbiting around the sun as we were before. So that I thought that was super interesting, and it they have a little like video in the article that kind of shows you what they mean. If you guys are interested in that type of stuff, I'd greatly recommend it. But it is essentially showing you the stages of the sun and how it becomes. It goes from what it is now to what they think it's going to become, which is a white dwarf, a very dense, small, a piece of landmass that will persist around the solar system and not have any stars, because it would inherently like either eaten him or spat them out of his orbit. So yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and just recap that article.
That.
Yeah, it was very interesting. They think that they have to make the radius of the orbit 1.5 times larger. That is what he calculated for us to survive the sun being a red giant. But it's hard to say if those numbers are accurate or if those numbers are just, something he threw in some kind of simulation and what he got. They didn't really specify in the article.
And not to mention, how would that affect the human anatomy over the time?
So they kind of addressed it. The engineer that was kind of talking about what would happen if we did that. Their biggest concern would be that they have to do it gradually, because if you increase gravity on us, it would basically crush us if you do it too quickly.
Yeah, we would all die.
Our bodies,
yes.
yeah, like our muscle density and our bones would not be able to handle, twice the gravitational pull that we had before. Like that would kill us. That's like sending somebody in a roller coaster at 200 miles an hour. Like they would be dead on contact.
Yeah.
So the doctor kind of addressed it, and he said it had to be done gradually. But they wouldn't know how much time they have in terms of how much time they have to get it done before, the sun subsequently, becomes so large that you have to do it. And then, yeah.
Oh, no, continue. Continue.
Oh, no problem. So essentially, to put in perspective, our gravitational pull to the ground is 9.8 meters per second. A squared is what they measure it in, like the actual downward force.
Yeah.
He believes it's got to be north of 25 for us to survive it.
Wow.
So it's a little bit more than twice the gravitational pull. So if you weighed 180 right now, you would feel like you weighed 360 or 400. So that's going to be a problem if they can't do it in a gradual manner. But yeah, that would be how it affect our anatomy basically.
And wouldn't we be worrying more about how we're going to get it through the next, say, 300 million years before we get to the billions?
Yeah, the thing is that it seems like we like fantasize about every escape plan to every situation, and I hadn't seen anybody try to address this problem because it was so far out. So as soon as I saw somebody say, "Oh, I built a theory for this," I'm like, now I have to read it. That is awesome. I've never seen a theory for this before.
I do see where that's going too, because I mean, humans tend to make every escape plan they can. It's very true. Yeah, and that was a very good one actually.
I know, right? Like our planet's gonna explode. We need to back away.
That's basically Patrick saying, "How about we take the planet and push it somewhere else?"
Everybody would look at him like he's crazy, but this engineer thinks it's possible. So now we can't, scoff at him. He might know something we don't. Watch out! Much smarter than we thought he was. Yeah, that's awesome that somebody sat there and actually tried to do numbers and try to crack out like an alternative to not exploding in 5 billion years. I'm sure once that day comes closer, I don't like our odds of surviving that long as a species, but hey, by all means, create theories if you have to.
I'm just trying to get through tomorrow. That's it.
I know me and you are going to be comatose in 100 years. Don't worry about it. 100 years at best. So we wouldn't have anything to worry about.
100 years? You mean the next 10?
I mean, like absolute best case scenario. Like they come up with a way so I can eat whatever I want and not die. 100 years at best.
Oh yeah, the alcohol not destroying our livers. Yeah, we'll make it that way. But
not sad at all. We totally want to talk about this in the podcast.
You hear that, lady? We're both single.
Not for long. We already put it out, man. They're coming. Not getting all the DMs.
They're not coming.
They're not going to be listening to this podcast. This is a dude podcast for sure.
This is for anybody that just doesn't want to see other people.
So I got a few more articles of science that I want to get through. I'm probably going to cut out a couple because they may be too long and honestly beyond the scope of this podcast. It would take me too long to explain. But the second article that I got from Astronomy this week was that comets are teaching us how to make breathable oxygen in space. This is very interesting for one obvious reason. For the reason that this is a problem we're going to be dealing with, mostly when we're trying to go to Mars. This is a problem we're definitely going to be dealing with in the next 20 years. So basically, the article states that by mimicking how asteroids naturally convert carbon dioxide into oxygen molecules, researchers think that they're going to be able to use it as a way so that humans can breathe fresh air. Basically, as a general premise of the article.
Wow.
So we know that comets.
Too. I'm just going wow at everything. This is amazing. It really is.
You're like, wow, I didn't even consider that problem. So basically, water is very plentiful in asteroids. So basically, there's a lot of it in asteroids. Some scientists actually believe that we got water initially from asteroids and comets and etc. Others believe it was just a chain reaction. That from oxygen mixing a lot with hydrogen in terms of like similar to what happens with the sun in nuclear fusion. But for the people who think that the comets and the asteroids brought it, they believe there's a lot of it basically, and they believe they can kind of research how the comets are able to convert carbon dioxide into oxygen and basically create like photosynthesis, but in space, like kind of what plants do on the ground, but in space, in situations where you don't have an atmosphere or you don't have anything that you basically have down here to produce any breathable oxygen. So that's basically what the premise is.
And that is something revolutionary. We could use that here on Earth. We can use that in Mars. We can use that anywhere humankind decides to go.
Anywhere where you could run out of air, it could have some kind of implementation. Anywhere where you need an excess amount of oxygen. So they actually have a graph here that's kind of hilarious. It's basically like it shows like particles slamming into each other, and it says carbon dioxide, and then it says gold fuel, and then when you look at the image, it's like at the bottom it's like oxygen, and it's like good job. So it's a pretty funny image in the article. I try to simplify it because God sakes, this is complicated. But basically, yeah, it's basically one carbon element with two hydrogen, and then when you break them apart, 5% of the time it produces a molecule that connects two oxygen atoms. So for those who are not good at chemistry, basically everybody knows that H2O is water, and your planet, you know that there's two oxygen like molecules in it, and that you could break apart carbon dioxide, which is carbon to oxygen, into breathable oxygen by just simply smashing the particles at a fast speed. So, woof, that was difficult to explain.
But
It was a bit of a struggle. I'm not gonna lie, man.
it was a bit of a struggle.
Yeah. I'm
just
no
like my
scientist.
life.
This is hitting the ceiling of how much science I know. That was definitely pushing up against the barrier there.
It's funny how our resident scientist says he's not a scientist, but he is.
It was pushing the limit. I'm not on the field, man. I'm not on the field. All right, so we're gonna go into some like semi-political, controversial topics. Okay, so you're gonna have to bear with me here.
But I'm
Basically,
how could I bear with you? Haha.
nice. So, long story short, this article is from Futurism, one of my favorite like publications for wacky gene editing AI content. For those who want that type of articles, that's the perfect place to go. So basically, Futurism posted an article called "New Gene Editing Method Could Lead to Creation of Super Babies," and I was like,
Super
"Ooh,
babies.
I have to read this now." So basically, Chinese researchers, no surprise, commies, found a way to like. This commies is probably not the right word, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
They found a way to like basically triple the efficiency for a tool designed to edit genes in human embryos. So basically, they're finding ways to basically attack the DNA nucleide to basically remove all the ones that are bad for you and put the ones that are good for you in your body, basically. So they're trying to basically correct everything that's wrong with us at the DNA level. And so they're able to detect based on like our DNA that we could have some type of disease or some type of genetic deficiency, and they're trying to attack those genes at a very early stage in your life, so that way they can never basically become they can never like completely complete the process of you having whatever disease that causes. So basically they state that 80% of our mutations happen in the embryo stage, and if they could attack it during that period of time, they could make babies that are essentially disease free. So
Since Aegon left, I'm just gonna say it.
What?
They can keep their diseases. They could stay away from me. They can stay away. No.
Just let them deal with their disease bodies.
Just let them deal with their disease. No. But man, that's insane. To never have disease, to never have illness. That's incredible.
Not only that, but to know that early in their stage, like at the embryo stage, it's not even like a full human yet. There's some debate whether they should not even be like they shouldn't count as in the abortion stage at that point. That's how young these babies are. Like they're very, very young at that stage when they're still like an embryo. But it creates a bunch of like political and scientific arguments. Like, should we be allowed to do that? One,
is it ethical?
Is it ethical? If something happens to the baby, who takes responsibility?
What if
a
it
lot
causes
of publications,
long-term problems later on? Like, what if it affects something else?
Definitely, and a lot of publications have already felt that it's like it's the same war that we have on drugs and violence, where it's like once it gets too widespread, it's kind of hard to contain. So if everybody starts gene editing, then we have a huge problem. Like, there's no way to backtrack it at that point. So that's going to be very interesting to see what especially the very conservative Chinese government decides to do with that. Because I feel like if you can't even talk about their, there are people in power over there, how are you going to be allowed to gene edit? Like, I can't imagine this is going to stand for long out there. They're going to have to move to a more liberal location.
I don't know. Maybe the Chinese government is just like, hey, let's create a racially superior Chinese guy, and
we're just going to create a bunch of 7-foot, LeBron James, and then attack every other country with them. Like, that's what we're going to do.
Bunch of Chinese men, man, 7 foot tall. I'd be afraid. I'm not gonna lie.
That would be scary. That would be like the Vikings on steroids, my man.
Yeah,
that would be scary as hell. I think people would surrender. I don't think they'd even fight back. They'd be like, "There's no way I'm gonna fight that giant army."
A guy that's got he don't even have to have a gun. He's 7 foot tall. He can have my money. He can have my land. I don't care.
Just think of like an army filled of like the Mountain from Game of Thrones coming at you.
I don't need to. He can stay across. He can stay across the ocean. He can have my money. Literally, I'll send my wallet in the mail. That's fine. That is fine.
All right. So just so I can get through this, I have one last article I really want to talk about, and it's called "The Radical Plan to Save the Planet by Working Less." This is very controversial. I cannot emphasize how controversial this is. Like, the Reddit topics on this are, the only reason I put it in my feed is because people are kind of going crazy about it.
And
there's so much internet
before,
traffic.
Yeah.
So basically, the idea of working less and improving the planet came from an article written in 1972, published in MIT, called "The Limits of Growth." So the general premise is that it states that we can't grow forever. So largely, we can't, as an economy, continue to grow infinitely. Like, at a certain point, there is going to be a point where there's not enough resources and there's not enough overall effort by the people in place to keep, the growth going at an economic level.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm gonna cut in real quick because even if you study economics, that's a thing that's happened in the past. You can see it all throughout periods of history where you just can't keep up. You run out of resources. Your higher classes just they don't care anymore. It happens, and if we get to that period, yeah.
So long story short, they believe that by but the carbon emissions, extreme weather, and biodiversity are gonna cause this like down spiral if we get too big as a country, or if we get too big as like a human population as well. So they believe in both, in both remarks that's gonna happen. So this kind of leads right into the Green New Deal. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez published this on a Congress, and basically she wants to reduce carbon emissions by growing more like renewable resources, and then basically using them so we don't have to keep using that carbon dioxide and everything that's hurting our planet. And then basically reduce work times is what's the most interesting about it. She believes that if we work less, that we will actually be happier and we will be more content with what we have. So I thought that was very interesting. And then it's basically, the article's filled with a lot of back and forth between, like the conservatives and the capitalists and how they feel about the whole situation. Well, long story short, is this like a dystopian pipe dream, or is this reasonable to believe?
And that's a big thing. I mean, and especially in our world, we are a first world country. We are America. It's hard to imagine cutting back on anything. Like, that's what this country was based on. Always wanting more, always going for more. And limiting it, like actually saying no, we're good, we're content. That's a crazy new idea. It really is. I mean, it's so simple, but it's a new idea.
Not just in America, but even before, like, America was conquered and divided and subsequently united. Even before that, it's been like a capitalistic mindset: grow, get bigger, sell more stuff. Like, we don't know any other way for the last 1,000 years, as far as I'm concerned. So it's very interesting to see that we could possibly try a different form of economy, basically, or a different form of like. Conservative socialism, which is basically what that is. That's a form of socialism at that point. Yeah. You're limiting what you can have. But I thought that was a very interesting article, and boy, did it get a lot of heat on Twitter.
Yeah, and I can see why, because we haven't had. I mean, normal socialism and communism haven't worked at all, obviously, but we haven't been able to be content like that since our days in tribes. So that's a very interesting proposition to put up in the modern day.
Yeah, definitely. And with that note, I've effectively burned to everything I thought was interesting this week. Do you have any questions about anything I said, or anything you want to jump back to? Anything
No.
you forgot to ask me during the whole period?
Most of it, I think I got covered. I think you explained it very well to the audience too. That's it, guys. Hype him up. Hype him up.
Oh yeah, clap for me, please. Even though I'm not there.
I'll clap for you. But and again, Aegon's not here anymore, but I wanted to thank him one more time for being on the podcast this week.
I also want to take a moment to just kind of go around how people can get to us. Go ahead and tell them how they can contact you, PG.
I am at Pureit Games on YouTube all the time. Well, I'm Pureit Guy. You can find me on YouTube. You can send me messages. You can hit me up in the comments. I know our new video for Far Cry will be out this week, and you'll always be able to find the podcast here and on YouTube and on SoundCloud. Probably, I think that's what you said. You're shoving this one on, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to get it on SoundCloud and maybe a few other platforms, but I still have to see what I need to do about that. I haven't decided that yet.
And I'll send you guys an update on YouTube about that. But you can find our podcast there and our weekly videos there. And you can find me streaming at twitch.tv/PureitGuy all the time. Like our next video, well, my next video is going to be Beholder, because I just got the complete collection. Haha. So you guys can watch that. But that's about all the social media that we have right now.
Perfect. You can find me on PSN. My PSN name is Peter Baelish, all caps, _MLC. If you guys want to play some stuff, talk some crap, talk about some other topics, perfect. If you guys want to send me messages, if you thought I did a great job, bad job, any feedback would be great, honestly. And that's pretty much, you can get a hold of me. I already told you about Aegon, who left. His PSN name is Aegon _Kingslayer. The A is capital. And that's how you can get to him if you want to play with him or talk some trash to him about all the Nintendo hate he produced in this podcast.
I love how we're putting all these on PSN, like it's only PSN players. Anybody that has Steam can hit me up too. I'm not going to drag my Xbox out, but definitely hit me up. Let us know. Click, like, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. But I hope you guys do enjoy us and come back, and we can talk again soon. Do you have anything else?
No, thank you so much. I'm all done.
All right. It's been lovely, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to look out for those next videos, and we'll see you next time here on Velocity Culture. Good night.